Hello, 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 and welcome back to an all new episode here on the Survivor podcast. As always, my name is Darius Cook. I am the host of this podcast, and today I am joined by a legend in the reality TV content creation space. You know her from Big Brother to Survivor and everything in between. I am joined by Reality Cat. Cat, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm really excited that you invited me for this. And yeah, I think this is a good episode to talk about too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, like you alluded to, we're talking about Survivor 50. Since Survivor 50 has been going, and before that even, I've seen your face all over TikTok. You are all over the
Oh.
place doing the breakdowns, all the great content. So I am honored to be joined by you here today. And Survivor 50 is a celebration of Survivor, and in that spirit, I wanted to do a little bit of a celebratory haiku for you before we dive into the episode.
Oh,
Would that be
okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Yes, all right. And I'm gonna channel my Dragon Slayer here, but uh Reality Cat, thank you for being here now. Let's fucking podcast.
I love it.
Thank you. First haiku in many years, so I thank you for humoring me.
It was
Just,
better than coaches.
yes, not as good as coaches, perhaps. Yes. Okay. Um, Before we dive into the episode, Kat, how are you feeling about Survivor 50 overall? What is your feeling now that we're 7 episodes deep here?
You know what? I figured you were gonna ask me this. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm like a fairly new watcher. Like I'm like a pandemic baby watcher.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like this is still also new for me. I don't know, it's just exciting to me and I like it. Like it might not be perfect, but I'm having fun with it. The first Survivor I ever saw was 40. So
Oh
that's a
wow.
kind of a big thing to to kind of jump into. The first Survivor I ever saw was 40, and then the first live show I ever saw was 41. So in that time, I like binged a lot. Like I even wrote it down because I was trying to think like, what have I seen? I've seen like the big ones like Winners of War, Edge of Extinction, David versus Goliath, Game Changers, Cool Wrong. So I've seen a lot, but I don't know. I like where even though like there's some things you could say like, oh, you don't like this, you like this, I'm still having fun with it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, like I think that yeah, especially coming into the season, there was a lot of potential critiques. People were scared that
Hmm.
this wouldn't be a great season based on the
Hmm.
cast, based on the
Hmm.
celebrity involvement and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Personally, I've had a blast this season. I have really
Yeah.
been having a good time, and I even came into it a little skeptical. I was a little
Hmm.
scared that this wouldn't be a strong season, but I
Hmm.
think it's been great so far. Sure, we can poke holes here and there, but overall,
Yeah,
I think this has been a very, very fun season.
I agree.
Yeah. So I want to dive into this actual episode. We're talking about Episode 7. That's not how I play Survivor. Was quoted by Coach. That's the name of the episode. The first highlight that I want to dive into for this episode is going to be this moment where Aubrey is lying to everyone, saying that she forgot to play her idol, right? This is
Hmm.
the aftermath after the vote from last night where Genevieve went home and Aubrey was supposed to play her idol. That was the whole big plan. And then she ends up sitting on it in a very Rizzo-like fashion. But when
Yeah.
she gets scammed, she's lying, right? She's saying, I forgot to play it. What do you think about this lie and her choice to handle it this way?
I'm still confused about that though. Like, so Christian and Devins wanted her to play it?
Right. I guess they were counting on her to play it,
They
right?
were telling her to play
Going
it.
into this vote, they were Team Aubrey versus Team
Hmm.
Genevieve. So they all had their ducks in a row. So I think that they're mainly offended that she lied to them, right?
Yeah.
And we even get a confessional from Devins where he says, if
Mhm.
I knew you weren't going to play it, I would have voted your butt out first so he can have it
Uh-huh.
back over, right?
I
So
mean,
yeah.
if she was to play it and she didn't go, Christian only gets it she if she doesn't play it, right? Or no,
Okay.
Christian.
Well, I guess yes, that is true. But from Devin's and Christian's point of view, if they knew that she was going to sit on it, if she was being honest with them, then they still would have voted her out. So that way they could get
Mm,
idle, and we would still have Genevieve here right now.
that's true. I don't know with her. I wouldn't play it either if I didn't need to.
Yeah. No, from Christian and Devin's perspective, I see why they're upset, right? They got lied to,
Yeah.
Aubrey. But
Yeah.
from Aubrey's perspective, I think this is a great move, actually. I think,
Hmm.
in the same way that Rizzo proved to us on season 49 that sitting on your idol can be a very powerful tool if you can,
Hmm.
continue to bluff it every time. I think that for Aubrey in particular, that was a great move. What I don't like about Aubrey is that she tries to walk it back this episode. I think her saying she forgot to do it is just a silly
Yeah.
and is going to like make people upset immediately.
Hmm.
Like, come on, you didn't forget about it. Like, let's be honest here. So I think
Yeah,
that
she could have
not
thought of something
necessarily
better
her
to
best
say.
move. Yeah, right. And so throughout the episode, we see that everyone is giving her a lot of pressure to play her idol.
Mhm.
What do you think about that? Because we don't see people pressuring Rizzo and Ozzy to play their idol right now, right? They're kind of sitting pretty, but the whole episode, they're really targeting Aubrey. What do you think about that?
Ugh. I was thinking about that. I don't know. I really couldn't put my finger on why, yeah, why was it like that for Rizzo, but not for Aubrey?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, when confronted about it, Coach says like the main reason is because you lied to us. So now we need to see you
Hmm.
play the idol, right? I don't know.
Hmm.
The logic of it is a little weird to me.
Yeah, I don't get that.
And to be honest, I wish that Aubrey would have stood her ground and said, because, obviously during this vote, there's no real reason for Aubrey to play it, right? She
Hmm.
perceived that everyone was going to be going for her in case she didn't play it, but in this case, Aubrey could have gotten out scot-free without playing her idol. And so the Rizzo fan in me was a little upset to see her hold to the pressure of everybody else
Hmm.
on the tribe that was kind of pressuring her.
And that's surprising too, because she doesn't like back down from that. So I was surprised that she had that stance.
Yeah, she folded. I mean, she completely folded, especially against Coach. I guess, she's bending the knee to Mr. Coach who's running this whole beach apparently, right?
Hmm.
We do also, at the beginning of this episode, we see a pretty big confrontation between Jonathan and Dee. This is the fallout of the Camilla boot of the last episode. And one thing I want to highlight here is I think that Jonathan is playing a good game as a Survivor player. On a personal level, here's my hot take. I think Jonathan is gaslighting Dee.
That I was so surprised about that because I wouldn't expect him to use that kind of tactic at all.
Mhm.
That I didn't expect that, and I don't know if I'm more surprised about that or the fact that Dee fell for it.
Mm.
She like just totally fell for it.
Yeah, yeah. So they're confronting each other. Him and Coach are calling Dee a liar essentially, and that gets her
Hmm.
really emotionally worked up. If I was in Dee's shoes, I would also be losing my cool, right? Because one thing Jonathan has on Dee is yes, Dee lied to him during that Charlie vote, right?
Hmm.
But outside of that, this whole episode, Jonathan keeps framing Dee as this big liar, but in reality, there's only one thing you can point to, and she owns up to that. But outside of that, I don't really see where D has been like lying to Jonathan in particular. So I do think gaslighting might be I'm
Hmm.
rounding up here, to be a little salacious, but I do think that Jonathan is playing kind of a cruel game against D here, setting her up to kind of be emotional in front of the whole tribe.
Honestly, I feel like he just like wanted to find something to finally use to get her out because in episode one, I think he was telling Chrissy like, "Oh, we got to get her out."
Mm.
So I feel like he just finally, okay, this is finally something I have to use to get people, to back me up on this. And I think that's what he did.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I kind of forgot about that, and now that I think about it, the press coming into the season, we do see that Jonathan lists D as one of the major people he has his eye on. Now
Hmm.
they're starting Tribe. It seemed like they were becoming buddy buddies, so maybe I was fooled into this false sense that they
Hmm.
would actually have some potential of working together. But as we saw this episode, that was clearly not going to end up happening in the long run. Um, but like I said, I will say, I don't love Jonathan. Jonathan is not my favorite player on the season, right? But I have to admit that I think that he's playing a pretty strong game right now, and he's situated himself in a pretty good position. I don't know when or if his people are ever going to really turn on him.
Yeah, he's definitely in a good position with the alliance that he has.
And this whole section of the episode is before we get to the challenge, but we can already see the cracks starting to build around Coach and his whole facade of being,
Oh my
Coach
God.
4.0. We start to see
Hmm.
the cracks a little bit as he's starting to declare war before we even get to the challenge.
Yeah. Before, like, I don't know. You know how coach is. You look at him like, oh my God, coach. But this episode was just a little. Mm-mm.
Yeah, Coach has been an interesting one this season because I will say, if there was anyone I was excited for this season for the casting, it was Coach. I was so
Mhm.
excited to see Coach come back. And I feel like in the first two episodes, we got the Coach goodness that I wanted to see, right? The ridiculous
Mhm.
quotes, the Tai Chi, all the weirdness that we typically like. But in the more recent episodes, we're starting to get the negative side of Coach, the Palau Coach that we've seen from the past, kind
Mhm.
of rear his ugly head back a little bit. And in this
Yep.
episode, he was so controlling. He was trying to control the entire vote of everyone on the beach. Not the coach I
Yeah.
want
Oh
to
my
see
God.
personally.
That's that 7-4 split.
Yeah. I don't I think if coach continues to move at this speed, I think it's gonna be bad news for coach, which is upsetting because I coach was my winner pick officially for the season.
Mhm.
So yeah, well I don't know if this attitude is gonna work out for him in the long.
I don't know if he can. I think he's like unleashed it. I don't know if it's gonna.
Will you put the Dragon Slayer back in the bag? I don't know.
I don't know.
Speaking of Coach, my one of my favorite moments of the entire episode, honestly, was everyone comes back together. Rizzo and Ozzy get back from exile, and Coach pulls Rizzo to the side. And as we established earlier on in the season, Colby is Rizzo's father now, right? And now
Hmm.
that Colby's gone, Rizzo got his inheritance as the Stone Bell monk, right? And we saw that Coach was knighting Rizzo, pulling him into his Four Horsemen alliance. What do you think about this moment that we get between Coach and Rizzo?
Oh my God. I think he could have used different words because Rizzo was like, I don't want to be your replacement. Like, who wants to be a replacement? Because if I'm Rizzo and coach tells me, "Oh, Kobe's gone, you're out," I'd be like, "Well, hold on. Am I like at the bottom and I'm
Right,
like the
exactly.
first one to be cut in this group?"
And that's exactly how Rizzo takes it, right? Like he's like,
Hmm.
dude, I don't want to be fifth banana over here, the last minute alternate. Now there probably was a way, a more savvier player than coach probably could have sold this in a way that was more reasonable, right? Like he didn't know who
Hmm.
Rizzo was 4 days ago, even in the game. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't know this guy. So it is reasonable to fold him in later, but I agree that he didn't necessarily handle it well from coach's point of view. Now,
Hmm.
Rizzo is the big winner of the episode, if you ask me, and he continues to show us that he is the number one charmer in Survivor history. I mean, we saw episode one, he won Colby over, right? We see last episode, Cerise calling him my boy Rizzo. They're married, all this crazy stuff. And now he's got the Dragon Slayer knighting him to be a part of his official alliance, something that doesn't come lightly from Coach. Meanwhile, he just spent the night with Ozzy bonding on Exile. So Rizzo has strangely come into this game and tied up tight alliances with all of the old school legendary players that are left in the game right now.
I'm shocked, honestly. I thought it was gonna be the other way around. I thought he was gonna be out early and Savannah was gonna somehow stay around longer.
Mhm.
But he's really impressed me, like aligning with Suri and Ozzy.
Yeah.
That I mean, how much better can it get than that?
Yeah. Cerise Wizard of Oz, I think is epic. This is my favorite alliance that has emerged out of this season. It's something I could have never predicted seeing coming.
Never.
And you're right. I did not think that this cast was going to vibe on Rizzo. I thought no way, especially knowing that they saw the promo for 49. I didn't like Rizzo after seeing that promo.
Hmm.
Rizgod. Like I was not buying what that guy was selling. So
Hmm.
I had no equity for Rizzo to come in and charm everyone over the way he is. Now, what we don't see from Rizzo is necessarily his relationships to the new era players, right? He had this connection with D that didn't go so well. D's gone anyways. Who do we see anyone in the new era that's really going to be partnering up with Rizzo?
No,
Right?
honestly,
Right?
no. I
He
don't.
had something going with Genevieve, right? But she's gone. He had something going on with D.
Hmm.
The people that he did have good relationships with, and they were good. Genevieve gave him that idol, right? Like that's a good inroad. But they're gone now. So what does that really leave Rizzo with? And are we going to see Rizzo work with Tiffany or with Emily? I'm not sure that we will.
I mean, I think definitely not Emily. After like Emily can't keep a secret, and I think everybody knows that now.
Yes, right. Speaking of Emily cannot keep a secret, I mean, that was really the downfall between Rizzo and Dee's relationship this episode, right? Emily or Dee goes to Emily, they played on the same season. Clearly, they spent time together. You'd think they would have some established trust. And Emily, the biggest bean spiller in the world, don't give Emily beans unless you want them all over the floor, right? She looks at D and she says, I'm got it zipped. I'm not telling anybody. And then immediately goes and tells Rizzo of all people. Come on. It's ridiculous.
And it's so crazy. Like I'm I'm pretty sure majority of them know, but she's still not a target.
And she continues to get information and she
Hmm.
continues to be in a good position. Emily is someone who I don't see a point in the season where people actually start pointing their fingers at Emily at this point, right? There's such bigger names and she's the quieter part of all of these alliances that like she really just might be in the final three from this point moving forward.
Yeah. And it's crazy, like she spills all these secrets, but yet she still like has the nerve to be like, well, let's flip the vote on coach. That's what I love about her. Like she's not scared to, throw something out like that. A lot of people would be like, all right, let me just go with whatever everyone's doing, but she's not.
It's so true. Emily, every single episode that Emily has been present at a vote, it's like the edit will establish who is probably going home, and then Emily
Hmm.
goes, "But what if?" And then I mean, it's great drama. It keeps us on our toes because she always throws in someone that we're not predicting as being on the chopping block, and then that ends up being the disguising vote. Emily has surprised me this season. Honestly, she is a lot of fun just for the chaos that she can bring up to the table. So before we get into the challenge, we get a brief moment where there's a journey, right? They draw rocks, and Stephanie LaGrossa ends up going on this journey. What did you think of this challenge, this endurance, arm in the air challenge, outlast the water in the urn? What did you think about this overall?
I'm not surprised that they haven't targeted her because she is strong. Like she's really strong. I don't know how they haven't looked at to get her out.
Hmm. Yeah, there was no doubt in my mind that Stephanie was going to ace this challenge, to be honest, especially an
Hmm.
endurance challenge like this. I mean, this is right up Stephanie's alley. From a game design standpoint, I thought it was a cool journey mechanic. I thought it was interesting. I would have liked to have seen a lot of other people in that position, honestly, because as soon as I understood what the challenge was, I was like, Stephanie's got this in the bag. There's no way.
Hmm.
But to see someone like, I don't know, a Devins or a Christian, someone who isn't necessarily as, touted as a physical player, I would have been interested to see them in that position. Did you enjoy the highlight reel of, Stephanie's Survivor career while she was, pushing through this challenge?
I did because I actually saw that season. So
Oh,
I was like,
nice,
oh,
nice,
I saw that.
nice. Good season to have watched, honestly. Very
Mhm.
good season. I have top 10 moment for me personally when Stephanie is the sole survivor on her tribe. I,
Hmm.
I thought that was really cool. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. She does have an extra vote. Of course, she gets back, and this is the part about the journey that really terrifies me. If I ever go, excuse me, when I go on Survivor, I don't know if I'm going on that journey because it feels like the worst case scenario is you have no vote and you have people that are skeptical of you of do you actually have a vote or an advantage. Best
Hmm.
case scenario, you have an advantage, but people are still really skeptical of you. It's almost like being Aubrey and having your idol, right? And is it a curse because everyone just wants to vote you out all of a sudden? I don't know if the journey does people many favors. And like we see in the case of Stephanie, you got to come up with some kind of lie.
It's so hard because either you tell the truth and you put a target on your back, or you lie and everyone's like, I think she's lying. No.
Right. Right. So, Kat, if you're on the beach, are you going on the journey? The boat pulls up. Are you going?
I don't know. I don't know. It would have to depend. I don't know. I guess it would have to depend on your position in the game, I guess.
Yeah, the journey's always a loaded bag, and it's something that I wasn't necessarily very into the journey early on in the 40s when they started introducing it. But now that we're where we're at, and there's been all this like meta around what you might do on the journey, I like it a lot. And it's kind of an impossible choice if you should go on it or not, generally
Mhm.
speaking. If I was gonna go on one though, I would do a solo journey, like in this case. Whereas when
Yeah.
two people go, there's like a definitive winner and a loser, somebody else who can either verify or deny your story, whatever you come up with. But a
Yeah.
solo journey, I think that you have a lot more agency coming out of that than you do on like a duo one. So what do you think of her lie? The lie that she came up with. She says that, if I was there for 30 minutes, I keep my vote. If I'm there for an hour, I get an advantage, and I only made it 30 minutes. What did you think of that?
I it was good. Like, cause it wasn't too much, like she didn't over explain. So I feel like if some of them heard, they'd be like, oh, okay, maybe. But I mean, not Suri, but
Right. I thought it was a good lie. Honestly, I would have believed it. I think that's like a very reasonable mechanic to think of. When she said it, I was like, "Oh, did I miss something? Is that how it works?" It was so good that I believed it, and I watched the whole thing go down. Obviously, it's tough when you have someone like Suri who's played with her multiple times on multiple different shows where all you do is lie. So Suri
hmm
was able to sniff that out immediately. Another beautiful example of Suri magic being sprinkled all over the place.
Suri is you. Oh my God. I don't think
Proper.
anyone else could have got that out of her other
It
than
was
Suri.
crazy. And Sari is a master because all she has to do is walk up to Stephanie and start laughing. That's all she
hmm
does. She literally just giggles and she's like, "What? That's what happened." She's like, "I know." She's like, "Oh, you bitch." She folds immediately. Like Sari has to do so little for Stephanie to roll over and expose all of her secrets and everything to her.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like the edit didn't show us anyone else being skeptical of this, right? It seems like people
hmm
overall believe her story outside of Suri. Of course, Suri told her boy Rizzo, she's got to let her boy Riz know about it. But I was surprised that we didn't see more people questioning Stephanie's story.
Honestly, I don't think anybody did. I mean, obviously they could not have just shown it, but I really don't think anybody questioned it.
Yeah, I think there was room in this episode to show it if more people were really questioning it. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. It seems like at least outside of the Cerise Wizard of Oz alliance, that people aren't going to be suspecting her to have another advantage. So let's move on to the challenge. Very interesting challenge. I gotta say, this is my favorite challenge stakes of the entire season so far. They break them down into two tribes. One tribe will get reward, and then that reward tribe has the opportunity to compete in an individual immunity challenge. What do you think about this choice, in terms of how they're breaking it up with the reward and the immunity at this point in the season?
Ugh, that just makes it so hard when they do it like this.
Mhm.
Because when I was watching, and I was like, okay, if D is on the winning team, she's not going home. Because I
Mhm.
kind of had a feeling D was gonna go home, but I was like, okay, I don't know. I like that it adds like pressure when you're watching it. I probably wouldn't like if I was there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that they only had one person immune for a 14-person vote. So I like
Mhm.
that a lot, actually. Excuse me. But overall, I thought the stakes for this were great. I want to see more challenges like this where I'm okay with you splitting them up as long as there's only one person immune at the end of the day. I think that
Yeah.
that's kind of a crucial element to it, that made it really enjoyable for me. It did make me think, what if the same setup happened? And instead of individual immunity, I'm curious how you feel about this, Kat. I'm gonna Survivor pitch you a production idea. Split them into two tribes, or let's say this could even happen pre-merge. There's two tribes competing. One tribe gets the immunity, and the other tribe immediately gets the reward. So they're gonna go to vote, and they're gonna vote no matter what, but they get a reward as well. Do you think that that being on the table would incentivize people to actually throw the challenge if they felt their
Mm.
alliance?
See, now these are the kind of twists we need. If we want to talk about twists, yeah, I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I think it would probably work better on a pre-merge season when there's two
Yeah.
tribes because I think that the only way that you're going to get people to actually maybe potentially throw the challenge or consider doing that is if they feel really tight in their alliance, right? Then
hmm
that's when that temptation starts coming in. That's a twist I don't think I've seen in Survivor, and it's one that I think could potentially work.
hmm
But if it happened here in the post merge, it would get a little messy, I think, if we're randomly assigning tribes and everything. But yeah, that's besides the point. We do see this episode. We do get a schoolyard pick for this challenge where we get, team captains, they get to pick who they're going to play with. What do you think about that choice? Do you like it when they have a schoolyard pick every once in a while?
Well, I wanted to see it, first off. I
Mm,
just want to see it.
yeah, that's true. Like you
Um,
see the outcome, but you want to see the decision making and be like, what would I
yeah.
think in that moment, right?
I want to see like what they're thinking, like, oh, why did he, why did they pick this person? So I wish we could have seen that, but
Yeah, hopefully that'll be like a deleted scene that makes the rounds on TikTok or something this week because I want to see that too now that you mention it. I like it. I think it's fun. I want to see a schoolyard pick as often as possible in Survivor, to be honest. What's interesting is the way that it broke down. On one side, we have Ozzy, Christian, Joe. all challenge beasts, right? We've got Emily and Devon's known to be good on puzzles, and then Dee and Stephanie more at challenge beasts. That's all on one team. So it's kind of stacked.
Hmm.
But then on the
Yeah.
other side, you see we got Jonathan, Sari, Rizzo, Coach, Tiffany, and Chrissy. I mean, just looking at them, the only strong person on that team that I would think would really carry in this challenge is Jonathan. And
Yeah.
Jonathan,
And he was tired at one point.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you think that Jonathan intentionally picked people that were perceived as weaker so that way if they did compete against each other in the individual immunity, that he would win for sure?
You know what? Now that you put it like that, yeah. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's probably what it was.
I feel like he did. I feel like there's no other reason to have it have been divided out like this. Now, of
Hmm.
course, it doesn't really work out for Jonathan because his team doesn't win, so he has no chance at getting individual immunity. But I thought that was interesting, and I feel like it's likely what was going on in his head.
Well, if they would have shown the clip,
That's it.
we could have seen what he was thinking.
That's right. Ultimately, Ozzy wins his eighth individual immunity of all time. Great for Ozzy. Congratulations, the Oz man. Um, kind of expected looking at his competition, but it was a good competition between him, D, and Joe. Um, do you think, they say in this episode that Boston Rob has the record for individual immunity wins with 9 wins. Do you think that this season we see Ozzy break that record?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I think so.
I'm with you. I'm with you. He's already have 8, so to tie it, he only needs one more, right? And he has an idol that he's sitting on as well. So I think there's a good chance that Ozzy makes it pretty deep in the game. And anytime he's competing for individual immunity, there's a
Mhm.
decent enough chance that he might win it. I hope we see it. I think that'd be a really cool, season 50 moment, especially for Ozzy. Ozzy exists in the space similar to Sari, where he does really well in so many of his seasons, and like he has so many claims to fame, but he never gets close to winning, right? So getting another
Yeah.
belt under his belt would be satisfying for me, who has come full circle into being an Ozzy fan once again. What do you think about Ozzy this season? Are you enjoying him?
I don't know. I like Ozzy, but I don't know if I was like 100% rooting for him, but I like Ozzy. But I think he's grown a lot. So I'm happy for that for him.
Ozzy's performance on season 50 is the clearest example of someone who has genuinely learned from their previous experiences on Survivor and is making those adjustments, right? Sari, don't get me wrong, we're seeing the best Sari we've ever seen. Like she's at the top of her powers. But what we've seen from Sari is constant growth, and she's never wavering. She's always great. Ozzy, we're getting a bit of this throughout his time through
Hmm.
Survivor. And so seeing him right now, I do genuinely feel like Ozzy is at the top of his game. So I'll give him that credit, And Coach might as well be Coach's first time playing Survivor the way he's moving right now. Just to compare someone who's had a similar run on Survivor. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, it's a scramble. We know that Ozzy has immunity. Everybody else is up for grabs. 13 people potentially could go home. And this is where we see Coach really taking control of the beach. Everyone's running around. What did you think of this whole sequence? And how do you feel about how Coach is handling these votes and his different like social dynamics?
Horrible. Like you said, like, is this his first time playing? That part when he was telling, who was he telling? When he was mad that Christian found out
Mhm,
about the vote split,
mhm.
and he said, "Oh, why would you tell a middle player? How are you gonna say that in front of Devin, who is like kind of in the middle too?"
Captain of the middle players. He's their leader. He's Captain Kirk of the
Yeah.
middle player enterprise. It's ridiculous.
I like when Rizzo was like, "Oh, we slay. What did he say? We slay dragons at tribal, not at camp." Like,
That was a bar. That was
I
a
think
bar. Not a bar.
he really got that when he said it.
Yeah, yeah. Rizzo seemingly knows how to speak coach's language. It's interesting because I said this earlier, but Rizzo's in such a good position. He's got his Rizzo and Sari, and then the four horsemen. At least Coach definitely wants to work with Rizzo, and it seems especially after this episode, after that moment, Coach definitely feels more of a kinness towards Rizzo. Now, I don't know how Jonathan and Joe, the other people in Coach's alliance, are necessarily going to react to Rizzo. We have no idea what any of their relationships are like. However, Rizzo is doing a good job. He's whispering in the Dragon Slayer's ear and in Cerise. Man, this guy knows what he's doing.
I never would have. Never would have expected that.
Yeah, I will say, we say dragons at tribal, not at camp was probably the coolest, coldest line I've heard all season. I thought that was pretty awesome. But yeah, ultimately, when we get down to the vote, coach is making everyone mad at camp, but it doesn't seem to matter. I felt like it was a foregone conclusion that D was going home, but I believed it. I thought that D could pull together a coalition of an Emily, a Rick Devens, a Christian, a Tiffany. It seemed like the numbers were coming together to do a counter strike against coach. Ultimately, no votes are cast on coach. Only one person voted for coach, and that was Tiffany. So ultimately it doesn't seem to matter. But do you think that after Coach played kind of a ridiculous game this week, do you think that he's going to be in trouble in the next episode?
I don't know. It's hard because, yeah, like you said, I think they could have gone either way. D or Coach are, you know, definitely
Hmm.
people you don't want to see go to the end because you don't, they might look at Coach like, oh, I could beat him, but you never know,
Hmm.
you know? Um, Maybe the next two tribals will be okay, I think.
Hmm. Fair enough. I'm going to call it. Here's my shot right now. Coach goes home next week. I'm going to run this clip back if I'm right. No, I think that coach was doing way too much, and I don't get the vibe that he's going to be able to put a damper on everything he's been up to this episode. And I think the Emilys, the Rick Devens of the cast are going to start really looking at coach just because they
Hmm.
can't stand him, right? Like, I don't think
Hmm.
it's going to be really a strategic decision. I think it's going to be like an annoyance I'll be honest, I'm questioning coach's sanity right now. Like, there's been a few players throughout the seasons of Survivor that I think are bordering on losing genuine control of their sanity out there. And coach is getting as close as he's ever gotten right now. But we'll see. We'll see if we can put the Dragon Slayer back in the box, and if we can see, I don't know what he calls himself, the Tide Walker. We'll see if
Oh.
the Tide Walker will emerge to smooth things over or not. Yes, ultimately, Dee ends up going home. She tried to do the shot in the dark, doesn't work out in her favor. We got some great lines at the confessional booth on the way for this tribal council, but ultimately there was nothing Dee can do. She is now the mayor of Ponderosa for this season. What are you sad to see Dee go? Do you think it was her time? Did you want to see more out of Dee?
Honestly, I thought she was going to be a target early on just because she won.
Mhm.
And then when she made it this far, I'm like, okay, she might make it pretty far. I think, yeah, it was just one thing after another.
One thing that surprised me was that I'm surprised. Yes, I thought that coming into this because she was a winner, she's commonly touted as the most dominant winner in the new era. I'm
Hmm.
shocked that she wasn't a target leading up to this point, but even more so than that, I'm surprised that her being a winner didn't seem to really come up in a lot of people's mouths during this episode.
Yeah.
That could have just been the edit. We were maybe focusing more on coach's perspective, but I think that would have been more of a relevant deciding factor in this vote, but it didn't seem to be. I'm sad to see Dee go. I thought that she was playing a pretty interesting game. She gave such fun confessionals, especially this episode. But yeah, Dee's gone. All the winners are gone, so the winner of the season will be someone who's never won before, which is exciting. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little disappointed to see Dee go.
Yeah. I think if she could have just made it past this, or if this just didn't happen at all, I'm pretty sure she would have made it far. If
And
not, final three.
yeah, yeah, there was a world for sure. We see in the preview for the next episode, Jeff saying that this is where things get intense. There's going to be double the consequences. Do you have any prediction for what the heck that could mean?
Oh my God. I mean, there's a lot of people left still. And there's like what? Now there's five more episodes, I think.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm assuming a double elimination, but then
I
I don't
think
know.
so too, right? Like, what else could double the consequences mean, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's got to be a double elimination.
Hmm.
I hope that it means that they are going to be voting, but two people will go home. So, like, the two people with the most votes are going home. Like, that would be a groundbreaking thing that we've never seen.
Yeah. I hope so. I mean, I hope so.
So yes, unfortunately, our girl D is now gone home. Kat, that pretty much brings us to the end of this episode. Is there anything else that comes to mind when you're thinking Survivor 50 or episode 7 in general that you want to declare out to my massive audience at home?
I think I'm just really excited to see where Ozzy, Suri, and Rizzo go with their alliance because I like that it was kind of formed organically. Like they, it
Mhm.
just formed there on the island. So I'm really excited to see where they go. And I hope Tiffany can get, I don't know, something.
Yes, something for Tiffany. I'm with you. Tiffany, yeah, I agree. It seems like Tiffany is just on a losing streak where everyone she's really working with is going home, or,
Yeah.
between Camilla and now Dee, it's hard to really see the future path for Tiffany, but at least we're getting more screen time with her. We'll see what comes out of her next episode. And I'm with you. I'm going to be right there, arm in arm with you, down the yellow brick road with Cerie's Wizard of Oz, because I think it's the most epic trio we've seen potentially in all of Survivor.
Mhm.
But yes, Kat, that's gonna pretty much bring us to a close. Do you want to plug your socials here?
You can find me on TikTok, RealityKatXO. Same thing on YouTube. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Kat. I appreciate you joining me for another episode here on the Survivor podcast. Make sure to check out Kat's stuff if you want to stay tapped in on everything Survivor 50 and reality TV. All right, Kat, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.